This is over. I'm done pretending, Sam declared coldly, tossing the car keys on the kitchen counter. What do you mean, Sam? I asked, my stomach churning. He looked at me with tired eyes. I've been seeing someone else for months now, Rachel. And by the way, happy birthday. My breath hitched. You're leaving me? On my birthday? Yeah, sorry about the timing, but it didn't seem like there was ever going to be a good time. Stunned, I sank into the nearest chair. Have you always been this heartless? Sam shrugged. I guess you just didn't see it before. The sharp sound of my heartbeat echoed in my ears. We had been married for 20 years. I had started school the next semester, worked as a school counselor to support us while Sam saved his dad's struggling auto repair shop. I never thought it would come to this. Who is she? I asked, barely managing to keep my voice steady. He hesitated. Naomi Reed. She came into the shop a lot. Things just happened. The words cut deep. Naomi. I had heard her name before in passing, never suspecting anything. I had even suggested that Sam give her some discounts to win her as a loyal customer. Does she know about me? About us? I asked, feeling a mix of anger and betrayal. Sam shook his head. Not really. I haven't told her much. So I'm just supposed to pick up the pieces while you run off with someone who doesn't even know the real you? I asked, standing up to face him. Haven't I supported you enough, Sam? I held on when the business was struggling. I believed in you when no one else did. He sighed deeply, looking somewhat uncomfortable but still resolute. I know, Rachel, but that was then. This is now. I've changed, and I need something different. I could feel the walls closing in on me. Everything we had built together was crumbling right before my eyes. So what now? You just walk out the door? Yeah, that's the plan. Sam said, I'm moving in with Naomi. I'll be back to pick up my stuff, but for now, I've got to go. Don't bother, I spat. I'll pack your things for you. You can collect them when I'm not here. You don't have to make this harder than it needs to be, he replied coolly. I clenched my fists. You've already made it as hard as it could be. Sam lingered for a moment, as if he would say something more, but eventually he just turned and walked out, leaving the door ajar. I stood there, the room now eerily silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. As I slumped back into the chair, the cold realization set in. My life had changed within moments. Tomorrow was my 45th birthday, and instead of celebrating, I would be reeling from this devastating blow. But right now, I could only think of one thing: how to face tomorrow when everything had been shattered today. I guess this is where I start over, I whispered to the empty room. But starting over wasn't going to be as simple as those words. It was going to be an uphill battle, one I never expected to fight. And unbeknownst to Sam, I wasn't someone who would go down without a fight. The smell of coffee filled the kitchen the next morning, but it did little to soothe the heavy feeling in my chest. My phone buzzed with a message from Lisa. Happy birthday. Brunch at Sally's Diner? Without thinking, I replied, be there in 20. At Sally's, Lisa took one look at me and knew something was wrong. Rachel, what's happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. Sam left me, I said, struggling to keep my voice steady. He's been seeing someone else. Lisa's face hardened with anger. What? That bastard. On your birthday? I nodded. 30 minutes before midnight. Her name's Naomi, some customer from the shop. Lisa reached out, squeezing my hand. You don't deserve this, after everything you've done for him. The waiter came, and Lisa ordered pancakes. I settled for coffee, unable to think about food. As we waited, my mind drifted to our earlier years. Sam and I had met in college. He was charming, driven, always talking about taking over his dad's shop and turning it into something big. After college, I became a school counselor. Sam struggled with the auto shop, but I believed in him. We poured everything into that business. Long nights, missed weekends, vacations we never took. And now... This? Lisa snapped me out of my thoughts. Remember when you guys first opened? You were so excited. We all came to support you. That's why it's so unfair. I sighed. Yeah, those were good times. Now he wants a different life. You don't need him, Rachel. Look at your career. The kids at school adore you. You can get through this. Just then, my phone vibrated. A message from Sam. I'm picking up my stuff tonight. I showed the message to Lisa. She set her jaw. You're not going to be home, are you? No. I'll pack his bags and leave them in the garage. Lisa took a sip of her coffee. Good. Let him see what it feels like to be alone when he gets there. Later, at home, I threw Sam's clothes into suitcases. I found some photos of us shoved in drawers, taken during happier days. I paused, thumbed through them, then shoved them into the bag too. As I closed the last suitcase, my eyes landed on an old anniversary card from Sam. It read, "To many more years together." I tossed it into the trash. Just as I was finishing up, a voice startled me. "Rachel?" Alex, one of the employees from Sam's shop, stood there looking hesitant. "I heard about you and Sam. Wanted to check on you." Surprised, I made an effort to smile. "Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it." His face turned serious. "Listen, if you need anything, let me know. The guys at the shop aren't happy about this either. Sam hasn't been himself. We all have your back." "Thank you, Alex. It means more than you know." As he left, I felt a glimmer of the support I would need to get through this. Sam might be done with me, but I wasn't alone. Tonight marked an end to what my life had been, but also a painful beginning of what it could become. Deep down, a spark of resolve ignited. Whatever Sam had planned with Naomi, he was going to regret underestimating me. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. A few days passed, filled with silence and emptiness. The house felt like a stranger to me, every corner a reminder of what used to be. One morning, unable to bear the stillness, I decided to confront Sam. I drove to the shop, my heart pounding in my chest. I found him in the office, sorting through some papers. "We need to talk," I said, my voice firmer than I expected. He barely looked up. "What now, Rachel? Who's Naomi, and why her?" I demanded, stepping closer. Sam sighed, exasperated. "I don't owe you an explanation. But fine, she's someone who actually believes in me. She supports my dreams, unlike you." "Supports your dreams?" "I've been there for every single one, Sam. I believed in you when no one else did," I shot back, feeling the sting of betrayal all over again. "Yeah, but you just don't get it, Rachel. You're always busy with your job, your students. Naomi's different. She gets me," he said, leaning back. "She gets you, or she gets your money? I wonder what she'd think if she knew you're still struggling with the shop," I retorted. Sam's eyes flashed with anger. "Shut up, Rachel. That's none of your business." Just then, the door clicked open and Alex walked in. He froze upon seeing us. "Sorry, didn't know you two were in here." "It's fine, Alex," I said quickly. "I was just leaving." But Alex stayed. "You okay, Rachel?" I looked at him, grateful for the concern. "I will be. Thanks." Walking out of the shop, I couldn't shake the anger boiling inside me. Sam hadn't just betrayed me. He was trying to rewrite the past, to paint me as the unsupportive wife. Something snapped inside me. This wasn't just going to end with him leaving. He had to face the consequences. That evening, Lisa came over. We sat in the living room, the tension hanging heavy in the air. "I talked to Sam today," I started. "He's really convinced himself I'm the bad guy." Lisa sighed. "Typical. He's deflecting his guilt onto you. What did you say?" "I told him Naomi probably didn't know he's broke. It pissed him off," I said, a small smile forming. Lisa leaned forward. "Good, let's make sure she finds out. What's your plan?" I hesitated, but knew I needed her. "I want to gather proof of his deceit. I want everyone to see who he really is. Can you help?" "Of course. We need to be smart about this. Collect everything. Emails, texts, anything that shows what he's been doing. And we need to make sure his precious Naomi's roped in," Lisa suggested. The next few days, I threw myself into the plan. I tracked down old messages, receipts, and anything I could find that painted the real picture. Lisa was my rock, always there with a word of encouragement or a new idea. One evening, as I was going through some bank statements, I found several large withdrawals labeled amenities. I knew Sam hadn't been transparent about finances, but this was blatant misuse. I called Lisa immediately. "Found something. He's been withdrawing large amounts, probably spending on Naomi." Lisa's voice crackled through the phone. "Perfect. We'll use that. Keep digging." The web of lies Sam had spun was more intricate than I'd imagined. But with every piece of evidence, my resolve strengthened. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about making sure he couldn't do this to anyone else. By the time Sam would realize what was happening, it would be too late. He would regret every lie, every betrayal. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The weight of Sam's betrayal pressed heavily, but it also fueled a burning determination within me. One afternoon, I met Lisa at our usual spot, a cozy coffee shop downtown. "I've had enough of feeling helpless," I said, my hands trembling slightly as I held my cup. "It's time we do something about this." Lisa nodded, her eyes fierce. What do you have in mind? We gather more evidence, I replied. But not just that. We need to hit him where it hurts the most. His reputation and that shop. Everything he's worked for. Lisa leaned in. Let's start with his customers. They need to know what kind of man he really is. A few days later, armed with a plan, we started contacting some of Sam's most trusted customers. Each conversation was careful, under the guise of checking in and subtly probing about their experiences at the shop. Hey, David, I greeted one of the key customers, a longtime family friend. It's Rachel. I wanted to ask how things have been with the shop lately. David hesitated. Honestly, Rachel, things haven't been great. Service has gone downhill, and I've been thinking about taking my business elsewhere. Would you be willing to talk about it? I asked. I'm trying to understand more about what's going on. After a pause, he agreed. Sure, Rachel. For you, I will. We met David at a local diner. The frustration was evident on his face. Sam used to be reliable, but now it's like he's just going through the motions. I've had to bring my car back several times for the same issue. That's exactly what I was afraid of, I said, taking notes. Do you know if others are having the same problems? David nodded. I've heard similar complaints. People are getting fed up. We spent the next several days gathering similar testimonials, each story adding to the growing picture of Sam's negligence and deceit. Customers felt betrayed, much like I did. Documenting their stories gave me a solid foundation. Next, I needed to craft how this information would be revealed. Social media seemed like the perfect conduit. Lisa helped me set up discrete accounts where we could carefully leak the information, ensuring it appeared as community concerns, rather than personal vengeance. One evening, sitting in front of my laptop, I hesitated. Do you think this is too much? I asked Lisa, doubt creeping in. Lisa looked at me steadily. Rachel, he deserves to be exposed. This isn't just about revenge, it's about truth. People have a right to know who he really is. Taking a deep breath, I clicked post, sharing our first detailed account of a customer's experience. The response was immediate. Likes, shares, and comments from people in the community who had either suspected or experienced similar issues flooded in. The momentum was building. We also began planning a community meeting under the guise of supporting local businesses. With Lisa's connections and my resolve, we secured a venue and spread the word. The night before the meeting, I looked around the nearly empty house, bags of Sam's belongings still stacked in the garage. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about reclaiming my dignity and setting things right for everyone he had wronged. As we finalized our plans, Lisa squeezed my shoulder. You got this, Rachel. Tomorrow he'll finally face the consequences. I nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Sam had underestimated me, but he wouldn't be able to anymore. This was the calm before the storm. Tomorrow, everything would change. The day of the community meeting arrived. I could feel the tension in my stomach, but I reminded myself of why I was doing this. In the end, it wasn't just about me. It was about revealing the truth. Lisa and I set up the meeting hall with care. We arranged chairs, set up a small stage, and made sure everything was ready. People started trickling in, curious and concerned. I spotted David and some of the other customers we'd spoken to. Each one gave me a reassuring nod, letting me know they were there for the same reason. Lisa approached with a clipboard in hand. We're about ready to start. You good? I took a deep breath and nodded. Let's do this. The room quieted as Lisa took the microphone. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're here tonight to discuss some important issues affecting our local businesses, particularly Sam's auto repair shop. Murmurs of agreement echoed through the room. Lisa continued. Rachel can tell you more. She has a unique perspective on this. I stepped onto the stage, my hands trembling slightly. Thank you. Many of you know me as Sam's wife. I'm here not to air dirty laundry, but to share truths that affect all of us. I began to lay out the evidence we had gathered. Testimonials from customers, financial discrepancies, stories of negligence. Each piece of information was met with gasps and looks of shock. I saw anger and disappointment replace curiosity on the faces of those listening. One customer, Alex, stood up. I worked at that shop for years. I started noticing things too. Sam wasn't the man we thought he was. Another voice chimed in. He overcharged me for repairs that didn't fix anything. I kept going back, thinking it was just a rough patch. I felt the tide turning. Sam's once solid reputation was crumbling before my eyes. Just then, the doors flung open and Sam himself walked in, eyes blazing with fury. "What the hell's going on here?" he demanded, storming up to the front. "We're having a community meeting," I said calmly, facing him. "Really? Feels more like a witch hunt," Sam sneered. "Dragging my name through the mud won't fix your problems, Rachel." David stood up. "This isn't just about Rachel. This is about all of us. We trusted you, Sam, and you betrayed that trust." Sam's face turned red. "Betrayed? I did the best I could. If you weren't happy, you should have taken your business elsewhere." Lisa stepped in. "That's not the point, Sam. The point is you misled people. You took advantage of their trust." Naomi appeared behind Sam, looking confused. "Sam, what's going on?" He turned to her with a mix of desperation and anger. "Don't listen to them, Naomi. They're just trying to tear me down." But Naomi's expression changed as the realization dawned. "Is it true, everything they're saying?" Sam hesitated for a moment too long. Naomi's eyes filled with betrayal. "I can't believe I trusted you," she whispered, stepping away from him. The crowd murmured in agreement. Sam's world was collapsing around him. He tried to regain control, but it was too late. The community had seen through the facade, and the truth was out. As people started to leave, I felt a sense of release. It was done. Sam sat in stunned silence as I walked away with Lisa, feeling the weight of a hard-earned victory. "That was brave," Lisa said softly. "Yeah," I replied, glancing back at the wreckage we left behind. But it was necessary. We walked out into the cool night air, ready for whatever came next. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, I felt like I was on the right path. The day after the meeting, the phone wouldn't stop ringing. Calls, messages, and emails poured in from people in the community who had been swindled by Sam. The story of his deceit spread like wildfire. Every message strengthened my resolve. Later that evening, I sat at the kitchen table when Lisa called. "Rachel, have you seen the news?" "No." "Why?" "They're talking about Sam's shop. It's all over local news. Reporters are picking up the story." The tables had truly turned. I contacted Alex and other former employees to see if they were willing to talk to the media. Almost all agreed. People were eager to share their experiences. The next day, a local news crew came to interview me. I put on my bravest face as the camera started rolling. "Why did you decide to come forward?" the reporter asked. I took a deep breath. People deserve to know the truth. Sam built his business on trust, and he broke that trust. Alex was interviewed next. He shared how he had seen Sam's work ethic decline and his manipulation grow. The more stories that aired, the worse things got for Sam. The fallout was immediate. Customers started canceling appointments. Online reviews bombarded with negative feedback. Naomi didn't stay silent either. She took to social media to share her side of the story, exposing even more of Sam's lies. That evening, I was at home when there was a knock on the door. I opened it to find Sam standing there, his eyes bloodshot and face haggard. "What do you want, Sam?" I asked, keeping my voice cold. "I need to talk to you," he pleaded. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside, letting him enter, curious about what he had to say. He sat down heavily at the dining table. "You've ruined everything, Rachel," he started, his voice breaking. "The shop, my life, everything." "No, Sam," I snapped. "You did that all by yourself. You deceived your customers. You lied to that woman and betrayed me." He put his head in his hands, looking defeated. "I know I messed up, but can't you stop this? Can't we work something out?" I crossed my arms, glaring at him. "Why should I? After everything you've done, you expect me to bail you out?" I just need a way to fix this," he stammered, looking desperate. "It's too late, Sam. Everyone knows the truth now. Nothing you say can undo the damage you've caused." He stood up abruptly, anger bubbling to the surface. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? You're glad to see me fall." I met his eyes, unflinching. "No, Sam. I take no joy in any of this. But you need to face the consequences of your actions. Maybe this will teach you a lesson." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I watched him go, feeling a mix of triumph and sadness. It hadn't been easy, but it was necessary. The story continued to unravel in the days that followed. Sam's shop had to close, unable to survive the backlash. Financial ruin followed him quickly, and soon he became a pariah in the community. In the midst of the chaos, I found a sense of peace. Justice had been served, and with it came a strange sense of closure. Sam might have lost everything, but I gained something much more valuable: my self-respect and the strength to move forward. As the dust settled, I realized that this was only the beginning of my new chapter, and for the first time in a long while, the future seemed bright. The news of Sam's downfall continued to spread. The shop stood desolate, its empty parking lot a stark reminder of what once was. One afternoon, I decided to drive by. Seeing it like that was oddly satisfying, like a chapter closing. As I parked my car, Alex emerged from the shop, a few other employees with him. "Rachel, you won't believe what just happened," he said, walking over quickly. "What is it?" I asked, intrigued. "Sam's finally decided to close the shop. He just gave us all our final checks," Alex explained, holding up an envelope. "Wow, I knew it was coming, but part of me didn't believe it until now," I said, shaking my head. "You did this, Rachel. It's over because of you," Alex said, admiration in his eyes. I smiled, but I couldn't ignore the mix of emotions churning inside. "Thanks, Alex. What will you do now?" "We'll find something. The market's not great, but I've got some leads," he replied, looking hopeful. "Good luck with everything. You deserve better," I told him sincerely. As we said our goodbyes, another car pulled up. Naomi stepped out, a mix of anger and confusion on her face. "Rachel," she called, walking towards me. "Naomi," I greeted her, bracing for the confrontation. "I just wanted to say I'm leaving town." "I can't stay here anymore," Naomi said, her voice breaking slightly. "I had no idea about any of this. I feel like such a fool." "You're not a fool, Naomi. Sam deceived you like he did everyone else," I assured her. Naomi sighed deeply. "I wish I had never met him, but thank you for revealing the truth." "Take care of yourself," I said, watching her walk away. Though she had been part of the betrayal, I couldn't help feeling a twinge of sympathy. As the days passed, I received updates on Sam's life. Word traveled fast in our small town. He struggled to find work, his reputation in ruins. People avoided him, whispers following wherever he went. One morning, while having coffee with Lisa, she shared a new development. "Ran into David yesterday. He mentioned Sam's applying for bankruptcy." "Wouldn't be surprised," I responded, sipping my coffee. "He has nowhere else to turn." "You've done what you needed to, Rachel. How do you feel now?" Lisa asked, her eyes searching mine. "Honestly, relieved, but I also feel pity for him. He brought this on himself, but it's still hard to see," I admitted. "The community's behind you. We all are," Lisa said, squeezing my hand. It was comforting to have such support, but I knew I couldn't dwell on Sam's downfall forever. I needed to move forward, one step at a time. Sitting at my desk at work, I felt the familiar rhythm of my day returning. Helping students, listening to their stories, offering guidance, it grounded me. There was a sense of purpose that had been missing during those turbulent weeks. Later that week, I set up a small gathering at a local cafe for women who had experienced betrayal. It wasn't much, just a few chairs pulled together, but it was a start. I wanted to create a space where we could share, heal, and move forward collectively. As we sat and talked, I could see the weight lifting off their shoulders, much like it had lifted off mine. This was my new beginning, a chance to turn pain into something positive, to help others navigate their own struggles. The evening ended with hugs and promises to meet again. I walked out, feeling lighter, more hopeful than I had in years. The past couldn't be changed, but the future was mine to shape. As I drove home, I felt a profound sense of peace. I had faced the storm, and now I was emerging into the clear, ready to embrace whatever came next. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: I was stronger than before, and nothing could take that away from me. Life started to settle into a new rhythm. The chaos of the past few months felt like a distant, albeit painful memory. One evening, while preparing dinner, I received an unexpected call. "Rachel, it's David." His voice sounded urgent. "Hi, David. What's up?" I asked, trying to mask my concern. "Have you heard about Sam?" He paused for a moment. "He's been going around town trying to get people to take him back in business." I sighed. "He's still trying to salvage something, huh?" "Yeah, but no one's biting. People have had enough of his lies," David explained. "Thanks for letting me know, David. I appreciate it." As I hung up, I realized how far I'd come. My life no longer revolved around Sam's actions. He was spiraling, and I was finally free from the turmoil he created. The next day at school, I found renewed purpose in my work. The students' faces, their stories, and their struggles, they grounded me. During lunch, I noticed Mrs. Thompson, the principal, approaching my desk. "Rachel, could we talk for a moment?" she asked. "Of course," I replied, following her to her office. She closed the door, her expression serious but kind. "I've seen a remarkable change in you these past few weeks. You've handled everything with such grace and strength." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. It hasn't been easy," I admitted. "There's an opening for a senior counselor position. I think you'd be perfect for it," she said, a warm smile spreading across her face. I was taken aback. "Really? I'd love that opportunity." "Consider it done. You've earned it," she said, shaking my hand. "And Rachel, your support group idea has been wonderful. Keep up the good work." Feeling elated, I returned to my desk. This was a new beginning, a chance to focus on my career and the positive impact I could have. That evening, the support group met again. Among the women, there was an air of camaraderie. We shared stories, offered encouragement, and provided a shoulder to lean on. The sense of community was palpable. "Rachel, I can't thank you enough for starting this group," one of the women, Judy, said, her eyes welling up with tears. "It's made such a difference." "You're not alone, Judy. None of us are," I replied, feeling a sense of pride and purpose. After the meeting, Lisa and I sat outside the cafe, enjoying the cool evening breeze. "You did good, Rachel. This group is really making an impact," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "I never thought I could turn something so painful into something so positive," I admitted. "Well, you did, and look at you now. Senior counselor, support group leader. You're thriving," Lisa said with a smile. As I drove home, I felt a surge of optimism. The darkness of the past had given way to a bright, promising future. A few days later, as I was organizing my new office, a familiar face walked in. It was Naomi. "Rachel, can we talk?" "Of course," I replied, motioning for her to sit. "I just wanted to say I'm leaving town for good, starting over somewhere new," she explained, her voice shaky. "I think that's a good idea," I said gently. "You deserve a fresh start." "Thank you for everything, and I'm sorry for my part in all this," she said, tearfully. We embraced briefly. It felt like a final closure, an ending to that chapter of our lives. Driving home that evening, I felt a profound sense of peace. The journey had been tumultuous, but I emerged stronger, ready to embrace whatever came next. My phone buzzed with a message from Lisa. "Wine night to celebrate your new job?" I smiled, replying quickly, "Absolutely." As I pulled into my driveway, I knew one thing for certain. The future was mine to shape, and I would face it with resilience and renewed hope. This was just the beginning of a new, brighter chapter.